Hey everybody, last weekend Gary and Eric came down to Indiana here and did some scouting in the hills and thought we'd bring you along. Hope you guys enjoy this little scouting video I put together. Make sure before you go any farther in the video, hit that subscribe button and follow us along the rest of the season. It's going to be a great year. Let's get into this video.
Here we are, guys, Indiana. Well, we're in Lebanon, Indiana. Got a couple more hours to go yet. You'll notice no Eric. He's peeing for like the 10th time. He literally went running in, so getting there. Hey Eric, what do you got there? Is that what you went running in for, or is it
Yes.
I think you ran to pee again.
I did pee.
Yeah, yeah.
I have now drank 4 of these.
4 of them?
Yeah. Dude, it's 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, guys.
We've been driving since midnight, so
It's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, I had 3 hours of sleep.
Guy's gonna go through a case of Monster.
Look at what we do to go kill deer.
Right?
Dude, this stream is like 5 feet out there.
We didn't even make her to the gas station. It's like right there. Well, we made it.
We have arrived in one piece.
15 peas later and a bag of McDonald's, and we're gonna get some food in our...
I didn't even pee in my pants.
Not yet. We're not done. We're still not in the house.
True.
Yep. So, time to make a game plan and get out there.
So once the guys got down here, it was on a Friday morning, and me and Gary went kind of in our area, and then Eric went to a couple of new spots, and we kind of split up in that manner the very first day. All right, me and Gary made it to the area we're scouting. Eric's in a different direction. It's going to be a nasty day today. In fact, it was thundering right now and starting to rain, so probably going to end up getting wet. But we're going to go to some like drainages that have some hubs at the end of them and look around. One of them's in the area me and Maddie found a decent shed a few weeks back, so here we go.
Oh, eat your heart out, Dan. I got him. That's right. It was a quick one, but I got him.
He's being shy.
Oh, we'll let him back down there. Let him go.
Yeah.
Catch and release.
Most of the morning, me and Gary walked around in the absolute pouring rain and didn't really find much at the beginning of the trip. But we ended up going back into this ridge system that had a nice hub that where me and Maddie found that shed. And right off one of the leeward bedding points, we found a really good buck bed. Me and Gary dropped down off this main ridge, and this is like a little C-shaped hub right here. And we're on one of the points of the hub that's actually leeward. So the predominant wind comes out of the west, which is this way. And there's a little bit of a military crest. I don't know if you can show it, Gary, through here. But it doesn't look like it goes very far, but it's just on this little point. And right here is a pretty classic buck bed in hill country. You can see lots of hairs in it, pretty much everywhere. And then you can see right here on this backside of this tree, buck's rubbed its antlers on there, and then there's also a really nice rub where he's probably gotten up out of his bed and rubbed right there. So now we're gonna kind of maybe work our way back and get out of sight, smell, and sound of him, see where he's going. So that buck bed is right up there, so he could pretty easily see you. And that's the problem with hill country, usually, is they can see a long ways. But me and Gary almost around this little bend, which is only maybe 100 yards from his bed. Sometimes that's as good as you can do in hill country. See the nice defined trail that came from up the point there. Okay, so I just got to where I think this buck wouldn't be able to see me anymore. Right over the top of this little crest, probably 120 yards from where that buck was. The buck's gonna want a bed over there with the wind coming out of the west. So this trail comes down through here. So you'd have to sit, somewhere down in one of these trees here and pick you out a good one and get set up on that trail. Gary is just down in the hub looking for if there's a scrape down there or not. So after we followed that trail back, Gary was down in the bottom looking for a hub scrape, and sure enough came across a real nice big hub scrape, and we ended up putting a trail camera over that hub scrape.
Zip tying it to the tree. Just marking this area, the scrape here. Then we'll have inventory of the deer around here on the camera. We'll know where the bed is, and we'll know the trail coming down off the bed. And just make a setup and kill him. Right, Gary?
Yep. Hopefully.
That's the plan, at least. All right, here's and then that scrape we just put that camera on's right over there. So that confirms that the track and that big rub right there, that's a decent sized rub if there's a big one using this.
Before we go any farther, if you guys haven't went over and checked out our live show before the Echo, you're missing out. It's a live show me and Dan do 2 times a week, and we get into all kinds of good stuff, whether that be tactical whitetail stuff or just BSing about what's going on in the world. It's a great show. What's unique about it is there's a whole community that comes onto that show and listens in. We usually have around 300 to 400 people that are on with us live. You can get on there, chat with like-minded individuals, ask questions that me and Dan can answer live on the show, and then every now and again we have call-ins where you can actually come in live to the show and talk to us live, ask your questions, and it's an awesome place. We have stuff on that channel kind of like this.
I was actually thinking I should have take that in and get it mounted, but I don't know what they'd even use for a cape because the head was deformed and everything else. It wouldn't look
right. And like this,
you find a saddle on that map, you look and you see bedding features on both sides of it that cover a lot of winds.
Yeah.
Right. They got to have a reason to want to travel through it, and if it's rut, they're going to travel through it because there's bedding on both sides, and they're traveling from one bedding area to the other to see what's going on.
And you guys are missing out if you are a fan of the beast and you're not on the Before the Echo YouTube channel. So I put a card up in the top corner of this video. Just click on that. That'll take you over there to Before the Echo. Hit that subscribe button, and you guys won't regret it. There's all kinds of fun stuff on that channel. Go check it out. All right, let's get back to the scouting video.
Andy's still alive. He's still alive.
So that was about the best spot me and Gary found. But Eric was in a different area, not too far from us, doing some scouting by himself.
Well, day 1, scouting in Indiana, not getting a great start here. I just pulled into my spot, and it is just downpouring. I just split off from Josh and Gary, and I'm not sure if they're running into the same thing. It looked pretty spotty. But after this rainstorm runs through, should be set for the day, it looks like. Until this happens. Rain let up for now. But I am definitely still hearing some thunder out in the distance. It seems like it's a little ways away. Should be good for a little while. But the sky's looking pretty dark, so. But I'm only here for 2 days, and I gotta get this scouting in if I want to make this worth my while. We came all this ways from Wisconsin, so I really have to get in here. And if I get wet, I guess I just get wet. But I'm excited to get in here. I don't have a ton of hill country under my belt. I can only imagine a buck that would have done something like that. That is seriously impressive. But I really am getting right into that thermal hub that I wanted to get to. As you can see, it is really thick in here. So I'm just walking that leeward side of these ridges all the way around, and I haven't gotten into anything yet that screams buck bedding, but I can feel it. Like I'm pretty close. I'm still in the little section that I showed you that really large rub on, which is this big tree right here.
And I have a really good leeward trail, leeward side of the hill, running off that way where I found a couple of rubs and a scrape earlier up on top of that ridge. And I just decided to spend a little more time right here and not just walk past this. I keep thinking in my mind that it's got to be thicker than thick, and I got to remember that it's not green up yet. I mean, things are really gonna thicken up in here. So I decided to spend a little more time on this point, and I'm starting to make out some beds. You can see all these greenbriers in here. That's all just gonna be green as can be, you know. And I have some historical sign in here too, so I just really started looking. Hey, the sun's starting to come out. That's cool. And I actually have a bed right here, and it's a nice big bed. And it's pretty worn in. It's not worn into the dirt. But this certainly is a buck bed. There's no doubt in my mind. You know, he's got all this to look at in front of him, and he has all this thick cover straight behind him, all this greenbrier. Anything approaching him from the backside, number one, he's gonna hear you. Number two, he's gonna scent you. Get down on this bed, and he can see everything approaching from the front, and smell and hear anything coming from the back. And then if I drop down just a little bit, I have another bed right here. And it's a nice big bed, which of course that tells me that's a big deer. And then to prove it, there's a deer hair. There's not a lot of deer hair in here, but probably not using it all the time. These are south wind beds. I can almost guarantee there's going to be hair in here too. Yep, sure enough. Cool, we're starting to get into something. All right, so I think I have one setup figured out. I just followed that buck trail. That point is right up this way, and it comes straight back up to the top of the ridge, works down this ridge top, and comes straight through here. I don't know if he's kind of starting off this way or that way, but this is right where these trails split, and it's right at this rub here. Now I'm probably only 100 and man, I want to say 100 yards would be about it. And I know it's pushing it close, but knowing that that buck is bedded on that hill on a south wind, that puts me on this side of the trail. So now I really just have to pick a tree. I have this little draw here right off of that bedding, and you can see how thick it is right there. So I think that's why those bucks are coming right to this ridge top and using this rather than running that draw, just because it's so thick nothing could get through there. He may come straight through the top of that thick stuff, but I think if I set up maybe that buck is exiting this way. Is actually I got a tree busted off here too. That was all rubbed up. You know, and here's the historical. on this cedar here, I think this is the way he's coming out. And it totally makes sense because the egg that I know of is straight out this way. I just gotta find a little clearing where I can get a shot off on him. And this actually doesn't look too bad, but I would be worried he would wrap, you know, around this point here. But I would have to think if he's going down that way, he would just drop straight down from his bedding point anyway, and straight down into that thermal hub down there. So I think I'm gonna mark this spot off for a stand.
After about 10 miles apiece of hiking in the hills in Indiana, some good Mexican food really hit the spot. The next morning, me and Eric went scouting together, and Gary went on his own. Me and Eric kind of had a rough morning and didn't find much sign at all. But in the afternoon, we went to a spot in the hills that actually had a swamp at one of the bottoms of one of the hubs, or one of the drainages, and really got into some good stuff in that swamp.
All right, me and Eric had a new spot. We pretty well walked around for about 4 hours this morning and found absolutely nothing other than tree stands and wide open woods. So part of it though, we know now not to go to that area. We're in a new spot now that is in the kind of cut in the hills. We're actually making our way down to a little pond that looks like it has a swamp on the backside of it. It's real interesting to us. That's where we're heading to now.
Me and Eric made our way down to this swamp, and just like you do in a swamp, we walked the transition of the swamp and the hardwood, and really started finding some good sign there.
We're kind of just making our way around this creek here that goes into the swamp, and we're going to kind of scout in this little island right here. See what it looks like. And we just crossed the creek here. And sit your hand in that one. So that's what we're looking for. There's a rub that like that. I don't know. It's about thigh high, waist high, so it's a good sign. So we walked all down through this swamp down here, and there's just beds everywhere, or you know, just bedding everywhere. And on this back side of it, there's a really good trail coming out of it, and then going up into the hardwoods here. So we're gonna throw a camera up in this tree right here and monitor this trail, and then we'll have an idea of what's coming in and out on this side. And then we may throw another camera up on the back side of it, just to get some intel and figure out how they're using this, because they may be coming in here in the morning and out that way in the evening, because there's crops that way. But we're gonna find out. Look good?
I would say that looks good, Josh. Trail is right about here.
Bye.
I told Josh to finally take his orange vest off.
Someone left all those laying in the woods.
Yeah. It's a good find. Now you have some orange for helping. You can come up to Wisconsin and do some drives with us.
Heck yeah.
So after me and Eric got that camera hung on what would be the east side of that swamp, we ended up scouting our way around to the complete opposite side of the west side of the swamp, and found a really good spot where the deer were coming out of that swamp and heading towards crop fields.
West wind right now.
Wonder how this current works in here.
Coming out of the east.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So, but Josh and I decided to drop a camera in here. Just kind of taking inventory of what's in here. We found a really nice trail dropping off of a ridge system straight ahead of us, with super dead thick cover. And it actually meets with another trail at this creek, which comes out of a swamp type of terrain. And you can kind of see this, make out this opening in here that looks like the beavers have formed. But I feel really good about dropping a camera right here, right where these trails meet.
Yep.
But also, we caught a bunch of giant tracks on this trail here. So we know there's something big coming through here. We don't know exactly how they're using it yet, but it should be interesting.
I'm gonna put the camera up there facing down in here where these trails all meet. All right, we got that camera up, we got that little swamp covered, and now me and Eric are gonna follow kind of the trails out of the swamp, see where they go. Way back in there is crops, and there's also like a really nice hub system back in there we're gonna head to. So I'm excited about this spot. I think Eric's gonna kill him a big one here. Me and Eric spent the rest of the afternoon scouting around in that general area and found some decent stuff, but nothing really worth showing you guys on the video here. While me and Eric were scouting together, Gary was off on his own doing his own scouting.
Well guys, I'm unfortunately a little too late. Yep, that's right. Year old. Darn it. Pretty cool looking though. So I'm in the hub that I shot my buck last year. I'm sure Josh will put a picture of it up, but there's still some good ones in here besides the camera. We got a couple cameras in here and checked them, and there's some really good ones in here yet. Well, I decided to stop and take a little break with some homemade jerky from the deer that I shot out of this hub. Just goes to show there's a big buck still living in here. Besides the trail cam photos that I got, they're kind of feeding down this way towards some private ag fields down there. But it's a really tough spot to get into, and I think that's why I did well in here.
Gary had a pretty slow day scouting other than finding that shed, but he did get into one particular hub, and he kind of described what he looks for in a hub and how the deer are going to use it. So I thought this was a really good clip to show everybody.
So I'm at the end of this hub. You can kind of see how hilly it's getting, and there's all these points that these bucks like to bed on, wind dependent. So that last scrape that I saw was probably 75 yards that way. That's probably the hub scrape that they would be checking if they were bedding up on these points, but doesn't look very good, but it definitely is a camera that I can check for early season and keep my options open, because there is some ag up over the top of this hill that they like to head to, and some of these hubs are dependent on what they got planted in there. So just because it isn't hot right now doesn't mean it's not going to be hot early season. And I know there's some really good bucks in this area, so I'm gonna put just a regular trail cam there and monitor that and see what I see. Sometimes what I notice too in this hill country here, they don't always make rubs all over the place like they do in the swamps in Wisconsin. So the spot that I shot my buck last year was similar to that. Wasn't a lot of great sign, but there was a couple of key things that I really liked about it. Plus the fact that I found a good shed told me that they were really using that hub, and it made sense. It was the hardest hub to get to out of the three in that area. So at this point, I'm just gonna throw a trail cam up there and monitor that scrape. I could see all kinds of traditional rubs around it. Traditional meaning that past years that's been a spot that these bucks stopped at to check and mark the scrapes. So I'm gonna throw a camera there and jump over this ridge up on top here and head to the next hub. I feel pretty good about it. There's a clear cut near that area, and we've found some good sheds this spring in that area. So like I said, I know there's several good bucks in this area. I just got to figure them out a little bit better.
Hill country scouting can be tough. There's oftentimes not nearly as much sign as what you would find in, swamps and farm country, and you really have to trust the terrain. Something else that makes hill country tough is just the sheer amount of ground you have to cover to get to these different spots. And that ground isn't just typical flat walking ground. It's oftentimes up and down and over ridges and through hubs and valleys, and it can be tough, but hill country is one of the most rewarding terrains to hunt and one of the most rewarding terrains to figure out, because there are so many variables, whether that be the deer can see better or they can use thermals to their advantage, as well as severely swirling winds. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Before we go, got to show you some stuff that happened to Gary and Eric on the way home that was pretty crazy with some severe weather we had here in southern Indiana.
So we're stuck in traffic just outside of Shelbyville.
Unreal.
And the whole building blew down from a tornado. I don't know if you can see.
Geez, look across.
It's all over the highway here. Trying to get home. These are the tornadoes that hit while we were staying by Josh.
Oh, that is a mess.
Yep, took the whole building down.
Wow.
That's just crazy, man. We got real lucky we were at where we were at.
Golly, we found some good stuff now.